Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear about two bills that focus on liquor license regulations, and we'll look at the life circumstances that can cause students to drop out of school. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Two proposed bills at the state legislature look to change regulations regarding liquor licenses. One bill would raise the bar for neighborhoods protesting a liquor license application. Another bill would allow certain stores selling liquor to be located closer to schools and churches. Joining us now is neighborhood activist Jeff Spellman, who opposes the changes. We should note that we invited the sponsor of the bills, Representative Thomas T.J. Shope, to be on the show. Representative Shope accepted, but then later canceled, citing a busy schedule at the legislature. It's good to have you here, though. Let's get the conversation started here. We got two bills here, 2359 and HB 2360. We'll start with 59, raising the bar for these applications. What's going on here? What does the bill call for?
Well, the bill calls for, in order for a neighborhood, or even an individual, to voice opposition against any liquor license, they would first have to go out into the community and gather 5% signatures from the people who live within a 1-mile radius of that proposed application. That's essentially what it is. There's a lot of problems with how that would happen, and if that's even reasonably attainable, given the fact that you only have 15 days to do that.
And we should note that current law, just one person is all that's needed, correct?
Actually, yes. One person can. There were some changes in law back in 2011 that actually changed and differentiated, put people into two different classes, those that support a license and those that are opposed to a license. And that changed, and there were some additions at that point that basically said if you were an individual person, you could voice your concern. If you were part of an organized group, you actually had to have a letter that authorized you from that group to speak on behalf of that group.
It sounds like 2359 has been amended to, it's now just, it's 5% within 1 mile or 25 people, one or the other. Does that help at all as far as you're concerned?
Well, in terms of that, we literally just looked a few minutes ago, and that is nowhere on record at the state legislature. Both of these bills, 2359 and 2360, have both passed out of the House, and neither of those have that amendment on them. Now, perhaps the sponsors are talking about that as it now moves into the Senate, and that could be, but we have issues with that too. I mean, the bottom line is, in Arizona, we are blessed with citizens being able to have a voice in their government processes, in the democratic process, and to say that anybody can't have a voice before they go out and collect X number of signatures is against that democratic process. And aside from that, that number, whatever that number ends up being, 5%, what's magical about 5%? Why isn't it 10% or 20%, or if it's 25? Of what? 5% of X. What is X? We don't even know what that is. Nobody will be able to tell us what X is.
Yeah, I suppose that determining a population count becomes problematic. That's why it sounds like the 25, if not now, would soon be put in there. Does that help at all?
Well, I suppose if you think it's a little bit more lenient and becomes a little bit easier for someone to have a voice. But my point is, why are you afraid of what could be two little old ladies coming down to liquor board and saying, this is concerns. This is what I've found out about a potential applicant. You should listen to this before you make a decision. Now, the individuals don't make the decision. The liquor board makes the decision. So why wouldn't you want to hear from whether it's one person, 25 people, or 100 people? Those people should have their voice heard in a process that we have, a democratic process we have in our state.
Let's get to HB 2360. This calls for certain liquor sellers to be all right if they're within 300 feet of schools and churches and daycare centers. And why is that a bad idea?
You know, we have those restrictions, those distance requirements right now to provide some protection from certain locations, churches and schools. And I suppose to get right to the point, if we didn't have that, you go over to central LA and you look and see where there might be a liquor store on every corner, next to every church, next to every school, and they don't have those kind of requirements there. Is that what we want in Arizona? And I would venture to say we don't. Those restrictions are in there to protect those places where people gather, where children, protected class, are gathering, coming to and from school every day. They deserve that level of protection. And so why would we want to have liquor stores located right next door?
Now, we should note that there are some conditions here. These stores must have 4,500 square feet, no drive-through service, only applies to a 9 or 10 license. Less than half the gross revenue has to come from liquor sale. So if it's a full-blown liquor store, obviously that's not. It sounds like, and by the way, they have to sell fresh produce as well. As far as it sounds like, what they're saying is if someone wants to open some sort of little grocery store that's within 300 feet of a school, daycare center, or church, this would now be allowed. You have a problem with that?
I do. 300 feet is nothing. I mean, when you think about it, 300 feet is really nothing. We just dealt with an application in our immediate neighborhood, and they literally were just like 85 feet outside of that distance. And this was just like kitty corner from a high school. And so 300 feet is not very far. To change that and say that you can be inside that 300-foot limit, it's like, again, how much are you gonna allow? And then pretty soon there will be these types of establishments next to every church and every school.
Does it make a difference that we already have exemptions for hotels and restaurants and these sorts of things?
There are some exemptions in the law already, but the difference on those are usually on-site consumption. So it's a restaurant or something like that. People aren't going in, picking up liquor, and then walking out and then doing whatever they do. It's controlled on-site. In those exempted locations.
We've got about 30 seconds left. Why are you specifically interested so much in these two bills?
You know, I've worked for now 18 years as a neighborhood advocate, try to keep my voice heard at policy levels. And this bill impacts, it dilutes our democratic process. It makes it easier for organized crime to obtain liquor licenses, and it allows schools to be impacted by a liquor store. Is that what we want for our state? And I say no.
All right, it's good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ted.
Tonight's edition of American Graduate features a panel discussion on the many life circumstances that can lead to a student dropping out of school. The nation's high school graduation rate hit 80% last year, and in Arizona, 75% of students earned high school diplomas, but for some groups, the number is much lower. More schools are offering specialized programs to reach those students. Producer Christina Estes and photographer Kyle Mounce take us to the Suns Diamondbacks Education Academy in Central Phoenix.
Okay, here we go.
The classes are long, but you only get 2 classes, so you really get to focus.
So this was a multiple choice question.
He's really nice. He's goofy, Mr. Bates.
This is the correct answer. This is the only correct answer. A Geet warrior. That was not a
It's the last day in Mr. Bates' classroom for Jacqueline Rodriguez. She's graduating from the academy.
So spelling counts?
She started here 6 months ago after spending 2 years away from school.
I had to go to Mexico. My mom, she's not from Arizona. She's not from the United States, so we had to go back to Mexico. She fixed her visa and we came back. I tried going to a school in Mexico over there, but it was so different. I know Spanish, but not really good, like to their level. It was just really hard.
When she returned to Arizona, Jacqueline says her mom pushed her to earn a diploma. But going back to the high school she'd left didn't feel right.
I just felt like I just didn't belong there anymore because my class already graduated.
A lot of them will say that they're not dropouts, but they were more like kicked out or withdrawn from school because of their absences. And then that's where we dig a little deeper to find out why they missed so much school. We have a lot of students that work. We have students that have their own children. We even had a few married couples here that had children, and it's just there's so many reasons why they're here.
When the Suns Diamondbacks Academy opened in 2001, it had 30 students. Today, it has 250.
I think it's the old thing about having one adult person care about you. Really makes a difference in the world.
In the epic poem Beowulf,
Through accelerated classes and personalized attention, students like Jacqueline can earn more credits in less time.
You get to know your teachers and they get to know your situation and what's going on. You're not just another student here. Everybody knows you.
New classes start every 6 weeks, and twice a year, diplomas are handed out. Principal Rick Beck is preparing for his 27th graduation ceremony.
Sometimes I have to step back because I get very emotional, and I have to kind of do the Walter Mitty dance behind the podium sometimes, just to collect myself. There's a couple years where I actually couldn't do it. I've had a lot of students write letters to me over the years thanking me for giving them the chance. A lot of them come back and give me hugs, so that's why I do it.
I'm the oldest, and my other little sister, she's in 1st grade, so she's 7 years old. Yeah, and my mom says, "Go to school. I want you to graduate like your sister," and I'm like her example, basically.
What an example she's setting. Jacqueline is now applying for college and plans to become a computer programmer.
The Suns Diamondbacks Academy will move to a new facility next year with twice the space to accommodate up to 400 students. Joining me now to talk about issues that can lead to students dropping out is Cindy Tercero, Dropout Prevention Program Coordinator for the district, Dr. Kent Scribner, Superintendent of the Phoenix Union High School District, and Dr. Stephen Green, Principal of Skyline High in Mesa. Good to have you all here. Thank you so much for joining. What did you think of this Suns Diamondbacks Academy and what you saw there?
Well, amazing story since the campus opened, and it's been one of those safety nets for our students who haven't been successful at our traditional campus. And so for me to know there's a place that we can refer them and provide those safeties and securities so that they can be successful, it's a blessing.
And that school is associated now with Phoenix Union High School District, correct?
Absolutely. It's one of our small specialized schools that offers a smaller environment, more of a kind of a family feel, relationship-based student population of about 300 students.
Over in Mesa, similar kinds of academies or schools? How does it work over there?
We have the same sorts of opportunities for students. That's the first time I had heard about that program from Phoenix, but what we try to do is try to establish those relationships, like as was mentioned in the video, and try to help support our students that way.
We're talking about life circumstances and the impact of life circumstances, a lot of things, but specifically that. Talk to us about that, what you see, what you hear, and the impact.
Well, I think the bigger story there is dropout prevention really is about eliminating barriers to learning. So whatever that barrier is for the student, and looking at the individual situation and finding out what the root cause is. So by building those relationships and asking those questions, we can address the issue for that student. One of the really exciting things when we restructured our dropout prevention programs, we created 2 positions to really be able to focus on this. Our student liaisons to work directly with students and prevent attendance interventions, dropout follow-up. And then we created a community liaison to work with the students and the families directly to provide those resources and supports. The first year those positions had been implemented, our dropout rate went from 22% to 10%. And successfully has continued to go down because we've continued to think outside of the box and offer more and more opportunities for students to be successful.
You mentioned root causes. What are some of the root causes that you experienced?
Well, in Phoenix Union, one of the biggest challenges that we serve a low-income student population. 84% of our students live at or below the federal poverty line, which is defined as a family of 4 living on $29,000 or less. That's the reality for 84% of our students. And with challenges of poverty come other kinds of obstacles, social and emotional networks that we must provide in our schools so that students can be successful in the classroom.
Obstacles that you've seen and that you have experienced and how you're addressing addressing there in Mesa?
You know, absolutely. We have about 55% of our students are in the free and reduced lunch program. And so it's really how do we take a large comprehensive high school of over 2,500 students and make those connections with kids. The traditional school of, 20 or 30 years where everyone's a part of the team or a club or a sport works for many of our kids, but it doesn't connect with all of them. So we have to keep reaching out and then supporting the students when they struggle. We have credit recovery programs that are on our comprehensive high school. We have students getting there at 6:45 in the morning, staying until 5 o'clock. So there's a lot of dedication, but we have to be there to support them in their time of need because there's family circumstances. They're taking care of younger brothers and sisters or grandparents. And so we have to be flexible to meet their needs on our campus and then on other places off campus as well.
Is there a way to, I mean, obviously you deal with high school students for the most part, but before they get to high school or as they're getting to high, is there a way to say, I need to watch that one, or I should pay attention to that one?
Yeah, well, we're a unified district, or we're just a union high school district. So we work really well with our partner elementary districts, particularly with our 8th grade students to already start building those relationships. We go out and do presentations to the 8th grade students and parents to talk about what are all the services and supports we offer. And because we have such a great relationship, they'll share with us students that we know initially need to have those supports in place. So students may be on an attendance contract their first as soon as they start high school, but more for a supportive way. And we make sure that it's delivered that way. So it's about building the relationship. Hey, we just want you to check in with us every day. Let us know if you need anything, what's going on. And when I talk about the root cause, it's what's keeping them from coming to school? What is the true issue? And sometimes it's I say a simple solution. Earlier this year, we had a student that didn't have tennis shoes. He had flip-flops, and it was really cold this year, so can you imagine walking to school and for that student, that's what the issue was. Provide them with some shoes.
Yeah. Very interesting, because you just don't think that that's going on. It's going on a lot.
Absolutely.
As far as though, I mean, how young and what are the signals? I would imagine, yes, clothing, I would imagine other peer pressure kind of, but it's so hard to know an individual kid.
Right. And Phoenix Union serves 27,000 high school students, but we have 135,000 students in our K-12 pipeline. And we must make data-informed decisions. Look at elementary school chronic absenteeism, challenges that students have, speak with principals, assistant principals, and counselors. Early warning systems is absolutely essential because students don't necessarily drop out of high school in the 11th grade. That's when it shows up. They drop out in 6th and 7th grade when they become disconnected emotionally, behind academically, disconnected socially, and behaviorally. And it shows up when they can legally drop out. So we have to reach down to our elementaries and build those kinds of partnerships.
Once that disconnect happens, then they come to Skyline High School. You know the disconnect has happened. It's happening as we speak. What do you do to turn that around, and can you turn that around?
Yeah, I think we can in a lot of cases, and that's what we strive for. It's making those connections and relationships and providing that help and support, identifying them and convincing them that it's not punitive to get some extra help before or after school or to meet with your teacher. We have trigonometry kids that come in and meet with their teacher before and after school. And so that may need to happen for some of our kids that are in algebra class. And so I think our elementaries and junior highs, those are some amazing educators that are trying everything they can, but absenteeism, transience, multiple schools at the elementary, all of those are factors that are difficult for any educator to overcome. And with graduation requirements being what they are, 4 years of math now, we can identify right away in 9th grade if you fail algebra, it's challenging to get back on path and to be able to graduate with your peers.
Is there a concern with discipline, and how does discipline play into this whole formula of finding, turning around? I mean, because they're kids, discipline's always a problem at some level. How do you handle that?
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that we did quite a few years ago is we wanted to have some alternatives to suspension. We created some mandated interventions that would really provide a safe place for students to learn some resiliency skills, decision making, anger management skills. Teach them how to address the behaviors that got them into trouble in the first place. So not just sending them home for a vacation of off-campus suspension, but really giving them that safety net to teach them behaviors so they can teach them skills so they can change the behaviors. The interesting thing is, as our completion rates went up for our mandated interventions, our discipline referrals went down.
Interesting. You can teach them, but how do you make sure they listen? What do you do to get that mind concentrated on what you're saying?
The exciting thing about the groups is it also builds those relationships, and then they have that additional caring adult on the campus. So if they have a time where they're feeling really stressed out or they feel like they may act out, they know who to go to. And part of the groups is developing that safety network and how do you cope and who can you go to on the campus. And it is about building relationships, advisory programs where students know that advisory teacher is a person they can connect to. Our evening school programs, just having several opportunities, because what works for this student might not be what works for this other student.
The discipline aspect of all this, what do you see?
Well, I see safe and orderly campuses across our district. There's plenty of urban myths and stereotypes about low-income and language minority students. But visit our campuses and you'll find safe and orderly campuses. You'll find plenty of counselors, social workers, parent liaisons, nurses, intervention specialists, those very, very essential programs that some in the legislature want us to eliminate and move those dollars into the classroom. If you speak to classroom teachers, they recognize the importance of that social safety net for our students.
And again, I'm not saying that it's rampant anywhere, but I was in high school. I know what discipline problems are.
Sure.
You can't fool me. They're out there and
Yeah.
they exist. How do you handle that, especially among those that you've seen that may not be on the right path?
Right. Well, whether it's in Mesa at a 2,500 student school or Trevor Brown with 3,200 students, it's about trying to create smaller communities, schools within schools, building those kinds of relationships. The advisory period, developing the whole child. In Phoenix Union, we're focused on preparing students for college, career, and life. And the life piece has to do with the social and emotional development of teenagers.
That social and emotional development.
Yeah, our school motto, we talk about creating a legacy of excellence. And we talk to our 8th graders as they're coming in to start 9th graders, what legacy do you want to live or leave? And so as we continue through those years, what are those decisions that you're making on a daily basis? And what are the perseverance skills that you need to overcome some of the challenges that happen to all of us? And how do you reach out to a teacher and it's not a bad thing?
Yeah, so bottom line, very quickly, are you optimistic about the graduation rates in Arizona?
Absolutely.
How about you?
As long as we invest in our students as the assets that they are and not look at them as problems, I am optimistic.
We have wonderful teachers and educators that are making a difference each and every day, and I challenge every student to take advantage of those.
Very good. Great discussion. Good to have you all here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Art Beat contains an air of mystery. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Gabe Rodriguez take us to the Phoenix Art Museum for an exhibit that asks visitors to play detective and solve a century-old whodunit, or in this case, a who painted it.
As a curator for the Phoenix Art Museum, it's Jerry Smith's job to know the background of every artist and painting under his care. But in the case of the Unidentified Artists exhibit, that's not the case.
They are works from the collection that we don't know who made them.
About 25 paintings were brought up from the museum's basement. Some were donated to the museum and others were purchased. Smith and his team have tried to identify who created the works of art, but it's not that easy. All they know is they were all painted in Europe between the 14th and 20th centuries.
One of the things we do in trying to identify who made these works, if we can at all, is connoisseurship, certainly, and that's just from looking at a lot of works of art and people who are specialists in certain areas where we ask questions, we send images out sometimes to multiple experts in the field and get their opinions on things. And we just try to narrow it down. Oftentimes we might not be able to nail the exact artist, but we get it to within a region or a follower of a certain artist.
Even though we don't know who the artists are, Smith says we can still appreciate the craftsmanship.
To look at each individual item, enjoy the brushwork, enjoy the line, to look closely and try to just think, is this a professional artist who's making a study for possibly a later painting? Or is this possibly a student work?
It was Smith's assistant, Chelsea Ellsworth, who came up with the idea for the exhibit. She also thought it would be fun to allow visitors to take photos of the artwork and post them on social media as another way to help crack the centuries-old mysteries.
We have not had anybody come forward and say, you know, I've done a lot of research. I did my master's thesis on this artist, and I really think it's such and such, because we haven't had that happen yet. But we hope it does.
Unidentified Artists is on display through April 19th at the Phoenix Art Museum. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.